Each and every one of us is an Arjuna. And within each and every one of us is Krishna. And the path of yoga, the teachings of yoga, as we dive deep within our own being, as we discover Krishna, we gain invincibility. So it is this access to the changeless dimension within us, that field of silence, that field of being within us, that we gain this capacity to be steadfast in the face of change. So the invincibility is a state that lives within each and every one of you. This invincibility does not require us to defeat someone else. This power that is born out of self-realization is the authentic power. This power does not need dominance over the other, irrespective of what time one exists in. Within the story of humanity, the teachings of yoga are forever relevant. And what is the primary invitation of these teachings? Is to discover that inner dimension within yourself where invincibility lives. That state within yourself where God lives. That state within yourself where Krishna lives. Shaken up, to feel challenged, to feel a little bit overwhelmed. These can be all precursors to great growth. There shouldn't be any shame at feeling overwhelmed by the world, at feeling challenged by the world. We can have that state of self-compassion, to acknowledge, yes, it is difficult, just as Arjuna did. That's what the Gita starts from. So as we apply the integrated teachings of yoga, not the reductionist aspects, interpretations of these teachings of yoga, when we take the integrated approach of yoga, addressing every aspect of our being, realizing the infinity that lives within our own self, we find that we can exist elegantly in the relative field of reality, and we can use these challenging times as a springboard for our own evolution. That doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean it's difficult either. It just is. And the yogi has to refine his or her consciousness, has to take as a worthy opponent these times, take these times of challenge as a worthy opponent and use them to even go deeper, to develop that inner cognition of the truth of who you are. Remember that in the beginning, the nectar can feel like poison. Before the gold arises, the base metal has to go through intense fire. Before the twilight of the sun rising in the morning, it is the depth of the darkness. The coming of the light of the sun is only made relevant by the darkness that precedes it. Darkness only makes light more relevant. These times of challenge will make the growth even more relevant. The state of yoga, the practice of yoga, and the experience of yoga even more relevant. So be the Arjuna in your life, to not give up our power to models of power created by the ego mind, individual and the collective ego mind, which is based in panic, fear, isolation, feeling of powerlessness. Do not forget the truth of who you are. Use the technology of the yogic practices to deepen your awareness, where the knowledge is not just an intellectual idea, but a visceral experience. And wherever there is Dharma, there is victory. Yatho Dharma, Tatho Jaya. Wherever there is the true state of yoga, only victory can arise. For yoga is union. Yoga is where the wave gains the value of the ocean. Be in the state of yoga. Practice and experience. It is the Arjuna's willingness to deeply learn, accepting and acknowledging his state, where he's feeling overwhelmed, where he's feeling disillusioned, where he's feeling doubt, acknowledging all of that, yet backing it up with a deep inner sincerity to learn and to grow. And this combination of accepting the challenge, having self-compassion, that yes, I am challenged, and then backing it up with a deep willingness to grow and practice is what creates the transformation, which takes Arjuna in the direction of his own invincible nature. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about being not affected by the time. It's not about being not challenged. It's about the willingness, in spite of being challenged, in spite of being overwhelmed, to lean in the direction of growth. And as one keeps leaning in that direction, once what you will find naturally that you are more and more resilient. You are not shaken up easily. And then the action, it is not against. It is not a reaction, but rather a response. This is ultimately your universe. You are your universe. Any experience you are having is within your own consciousness field. It is the experiencer who shapes the experience, who gives value and meaning to the experience. Realize that power. These are the profound teachings of yoga. Yogi bhava Arjuna. Be thou a yogi and realize your own invincible nature. Yoga is the teachings of gaining invincibility, gaining that authentic power. So dive deep, have self-compassion, forgive yourself and forgive everyone, and use these times. There can be days which are difficult and there can be days which are not. Don't care about that so much. Acknowledge it once, but then focus. Direct your energy in the direction of growth, gaining that inner access to the infinite field of Shakti. Sending you all my love. Remember, when you grow, you don't just grow for yourself, you grow for the whole.